I remember this one woman introducing herself, and she said, I've been at Google for 13 years, and I keep telling my family, after this project, we'll be able to slow down. Oh, just after this month, as soon as this fire is put out, then we'll be able to do that vacation. After this, mommy won't be working every night. And I remember her sitting there and crying. And that was one of the straws on the camel's back for me. That was like, I don't want to be that person. I clearly see that these people making double, triple my salary are having the same exact thoughts, the same exact problems, the same exact challenges that I'm having. And the money might make some things easier.
Welcome to the Legalpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur, Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Hello there, welcome back. I am joined by Nicole Bensen. She is the founder of Tentacles and Tea, and she has been a Legalpreneur member for a little bit now. She's been in for over a year, and I admire her because she has done some amazing things, and I'm excited to have her talk about it here on the podcast today. So Nicole, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Andrea. I am so inspired by you, so I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, can you get us started and tell everybody about your journey, how you got to where you are today, and don't hold back because a lot of people are scared to brag. And I'm just like, no, tell us, brag on yourself.
All right. Okay. Well, where do I even start? I spent about almost a decade at Google, and there I worked in human resources, and I'll tell you about my last role there. It was managing the well-being program for Google's female leaders. And that was one of 9 different programs that I managed. But while I was there managing this well-being program, which was essentially taking the women out of the boardroom and into gorgeous locations on well-being retreats around the world, I ironically totally burnt out myself.
No.
So I decided to take a step away from Google and launch my own well-being retreat company. And in the world's most ironic timing, I left Google to start a retreat company on March 13th, 2020.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So most people probably know what happened, but day one of being an entrepreneur was day one of shelter in place here in the Bay Area. My kids were doing homeschooling from the dining room table. My husband was home. So all that to say, the retreat portion went on pause, but I had to pivot to start teaching online courses in happiness and well-being and mental health and building psychological safety, and got my positive psychology coaching certification. And that's what I've been doing for the last few years. I
love it. And the resilience to start entrepreneurship on the day that you really can't. But I admire you for your perseverance and continuing. And I know you have a retreat coming up, which we will get into detail about. So make sure you all stay tuned for that. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to see if I can get away for that, because it actually looks not actually like it wouldn't be cool, but it looks extremely incredible. But what I would love to hear is, what was your background getting into Google, getting into these roles at Google? Not that I'm questioning your background and whether you should be doing this or not. I'm just curious, how did somebody even do this?
Oh, I love this story because I am not what most people think about. So I grew up in Silicon Valley. Here's the beautiful version of it. My dad's a software engineer. I grew up in Silicon Valley. Of course I'm going to work at Google, right? But what people don't know is I had a super religious upbringing where women essentially weren't taught to do anything but get married and have kids. And so I didn't get my 4-year degree. And long story short, I went to an interview at Google, and during my interview, the person told me that I would never be hired there because I don't have a 4-year degree.
Oh my gosh.
So Fast forward, obviously, I just let you know that I was there. I was successful in 5 different roles in 2 different countries. I was promoted. I managed a team. I did the thing. And so what I think is really beautiful is during my time at Google, I got to see them evolve from the company that only hires people from elite Ivy League schools to realizing that the person who is successful without that probably has something that you want to dig into too.
Yes.
So when I got into Google, it was in the recruiting industry. And so I had years of recruiting, which helped me have the work skills to be successful there. And then during my time there, I volunteered for a few different areas of places that I was really passionate about. So event planning, planning experiences, all that was something that I was really interested in. So as an example, one of the events that I helped plan was Take Your Parents to Work Day. And
that is so cool.
It's so fun because you get to see all these adults bring their parents to work. So I got to volunteer on that team, which essentially helped me network with people who were on different teams. And so I'm a big proponent of networking because you never know where those connections are going to lead you.
Yeah. And it's also networking within the organization. A lot of people think of networking as like, let me go meet people from other organizations. But especially in the corporate world, you have to network internally. I'm learning that right now with the NetSuite Accelerator we're in, because I see a lot of, so it's with Oracle, and it's so fascinating to see the operations, number one, of a huge corporation, and to see just how so many people that work for NetSuite want to network internally. And it's just now opening my eyes to how much networking is done in-house at a corporate company.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've all been to those awkward networking happy hours, right? Where you're like, I don't even know what to say or how to start this conversation. And so it's so much easier when you're in an organization. Exactly what you just said, Andrea, is people think like, I need to figure out how do I get into this other company. But is there somebody at your current company who worked there before or who does a similar role, or can you just get to know something about that person? And I think Google did a really great job of, most people had open calendars. And so it wasn't frowned upon to, throw 10 minutes on someone's calendar and ask them if you could network and have a virtual coffee.
Wow, that's really interesting. That's a really cool concept as well. And one question that I have for you about Google, and then we'll switch to what you're doing now, but what really made you want to take the leap? I know you said you were burned out, but I know that it is scary taking that leap from corporate to entrepreneurship, and especially in the middle of at the beginning of a pandemic. What was that final deciding factor? And what did you do to prepare? Did you have a full-blown business plan? You were just like, I'll just figure it out? I'm not testing you. I'm just curious because I know some people are here listening. How do I do this?
Yeah. Let me think where to start with that question. So it was very difficult for me to make the decision. I love Google. To this day, I love Google. I met the most amazing, smart, bright people there. And as cheesy as it sounds, most of the people there really feel like they are contributing to making the world a better place. And it sounds so cheesy, but you feel like you are this part of something. And so there was not only that part of my identity, but there's those golden handcuffs of the longer that you stay there, the more stock you get, and the vests and all the beautiful things, right? And so for me, my breaking point was a person in my family had been diagnosed with cancer, and I went in to chat with my manager, and I was just sobbing. And the response that I got from this particular person wasn't very encouraging, but more about how are you setting up your desk? And yes, that's important, but I just not realized at that moment, but it drove home the point that I could disappear from Google and the stock is not going to change a penny. I could disappear from my life, and obviously my family's worlds are going to be upside down. And so I just had to take the pause. And it was very, very difficult, again, because I was told at the beginning, you're never going to be hired here. And so I felt like I had really proven something. And now I was part of this elite group. And I just had to make the leap for my mental health. What I did to prepare is I definitely saved money. And so I said, okay, if I don't make money for an entire year, I'm going to be okay. And the beauty of hindsight is we realize now what the pandemic was. But I mean, even when I gave my 2 weeks notice, we had no idea what the world was going to be like. So the first 3 weeks was fun, right? It was like, okay, we're going to teach math at home by, how many glittery nails are we painting? What's the ratio of 2 out of 10? And then it was, we're at home for 6 weeks. And so it just spiraled and I had to pivot. I don't know if I would have known what the world was going to do. I don't know that I would have been brave enough to make the leap at that point. Yeah. So I think it's beautiful and poetic that I didn't know, because I'm not sure that I would have made the leap, and I have zero regrets about leaving.
I love that. I have goosebumps hearing you talk about it. But one question, and first of all, I commend you for making that leap. I was pushed out. I was fired. So I was wanting to make the leap, but I didn't have the courage to make the leap. So I know how hard it is. So I commend you 100%. Hat off to you. Now, making the transition, and of course you have this plan of what you're going to do, and then the world stops. So then you transition to courses, and I'm curious, how did those initial launches go, or how did that initially go? How are you finding clients? Because I understand at this point everybody is online, but it's still not easy selling those. So I would love to hear that journey.
I would love to chat with somebody who has it figured out, because I'm still working on it. So yes, at the beginning, I created this program, this course of the things that I had planned to teach at retreats. So well-being, mental health, happiness tools. I say that my stuff is based in science, but flirts with woo, because I am used to work with really research, science, data-driven people. And I am one of those people. If you just tell me, try this breathing exercise and you'll feel better, okay, maybe. But I want to actually know that there were 1,200 studies done with this many people, and I want to know all that stuff. So I had planned to teach all those in beautiful locations all over the world. Obviously, when we weren't traveling, I decided to start teaching those in a course. So I started off with a 4-week course that I taught online, live, and that essentially started with friends and friends of friends. And then I evolved it to be a longer course. And all this to say, my launches have had 0. My launches have had crickets. I have had the opportunity to work with some amazing people, but not every single launch has been that. Mm-hmm. After I realized how difficult it was to get individual people to even know who I am, let alone invest a fair amount of money with me, I pivoted to start teaching to corporate teams, because it's a lot easier to have somebody hand over their corporate credit card for a team workshop than it is to have a person do that. And so that's been the majority of my business for the past few years, is all workshops to teams to help them get 1, 3, and 5 minute tools that boost their happiness in the middle of their day when they don't have time to take a week off to spend in the mountains with the monks, but they have 3 minutes before their next call. What can they do? Yeah. Those are the types of things that I teach.
Oh, I love that. That is so exciting. And now, so this retreat coming up, is that your first one? Oh, that's exciting. Okay, we have more to talk about, but go ahead. This is a great place to go ahead and talk about the retreat.
Yeah. So yes, it is the first one that I am planning where the public is able to come. This, again, is what I used to do at Google. So I know how to create a beautiful, safe space, luxury activities, and I'm essentially creating what I needed in that moment. So I didn't have a week to go to a women's conference where I could network with people, and a week to go on that silent retreat with the monks where I could learn well-being tools, and a week to go on a luxury vacation with my girlfriends, right? So what I've now created is, I say a week, the one that's coming up is 5 days, but essentially a space where you can rub shoulders with other ambitious women leaders who are investing in themselves at this level, get those well-being tools, and really get the white glove treatment and just be spoiled. Like, I want people to arrive in the spot. I hand you your glass of champagne or non-alcoholic cider, whatever you'd like. And then I take care of you. I create this space for you. So the one that's coming up is in October. We are going to be in Switzerland. We kick off with 2 days in the city of Zurich, where we will go to a dinner that is all about cheese. I don't know if you've ever had raclette, but it is essentially melted cheese all over potatoes and cheese. Yeah, it's delicious. We do an entire spa day where we go through a ritual of 10 different stations where you can, it's like a cold pool and a warm pool and a scrub and all the things and a rooftop pool. I won't go day by day, but there is a perfume making class, a chocolate making class, another spa day where we go to this gorgeous hotel on the top of a mountain, and they have this overhanging platform restaurant that overlooks Lake Lucerne. We go on a mountain activity where we'll take a boat and a train and a 360-degree view gondola up to the top of a mountain. I mean, the activities are lovely. And then the things that we're going to be doing are, one of the activities is, let's say that you're coming, Andrea. I'm going to ask you for 3 to 5 people who know you well and whose opinion you value. And then I'm going to reach out to that person and say, Andrea's coming to this retreat. I want you to tell me about a time where you saw her exhibiting a strength, a place where you were inspired, and I want you to write her a letter about it. And I want you to be specific. I'm not going to read the letters, but what I'm going to do is print them out, put them in an envelope. And so then when you come to my retreat, after we've done the perfume making activity, you're going to have this perfume that is all the things that you love. So it is personalized, unique to you. I'm going to ask you to spray that on yourself or roll it, whatever. And then I'm going to hand you your letters, and you're going to get to read 3 to 5 letters from people who love you. And they're going to be telling you about the values that they see in you and your strengths and all these things. So that's an example of one of the types of activities.
Thinking about these letters.
Isn't that the best gift?
Yes.
And so what I do is tie that research. So there's research about your olfactory system and how smells can connect you to memories. And so when you go home after Switzerland, you can spray this perfume, use this perfume, and remember all those good feelings. And your body is just going to remember that. So yeah, it's,
oh my God.
I can tell you about the activities, and then I can tell you what all the research is that goes into it. Like the chocolate making is not just about making chocolate. It's going to be about like mindful tasting, and it's a mindfulness practice. And as you can see, I'm a little bit passionate and excited about this.
I love that. And can you tell the people the price? Because I know it is very reasonably priced. Go ahead and tell them.
Yeah. So the first 5 people who sign up are going to get $1,000 off of the $87.50 price. And I just announced that I've partnered with a company who is able to do a breakdown of the price. So all you have to do is put $1,000 down, and then you can pay the rest over a few months, and it is all interest free.
I love that. And the thing is, I have done many of these like experience trips because I'm not a lazy traveler. I want to just go and be. I don't want to plan anything. I don't want to do anything. And so I love these types of trips. And I've paid like almost double of what you're charging. And I think for less days too. So this is very, very, very reasonably priced. And I need to double check the dates, but I'm serious. Like I've never been to Switzerland, and I'm very, very, very seriously, I think I'm pretty much going to do it. Because I haven't signed up for a trip this year. And so I'm like, I think this is the universe. Like, here's your trip for the year.
I agree. I would love to have you. It's going to be so much fun. And I mean, my fellow entrepreneurs will know this, but I priced this one where essentially I'm not even making a profit on this one. I'm just doing it because I'm so excited about it. Yeah. So yeah, the next ones to come, who knows what the pricing will be like, but there will be some more all over. Yeah. But for this one, I was just like, I just want to like birth this baby and get it out.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I paid the others that I've been on. I think they were like $15,000, and they were very, very well put together, very experiential. Like it had a lot of meaning to it. I will say nobody wrote letters. That's really exciting. I literally was like tearing up thinking about like what people would write me.
It's amazing. We used to do this activity at Google, and we would hand them their letters and a packet of tissues.
Yeah, I was about to say, hopefully tissues. Okay, one question I have about the women you've worked with at Google. So I always, just like you said, the science with a bit of woo. I always tell people like I'm very transactional because I'm an attorney, but I also mix in the woo with it. So when somebody's like, oh, somebody so and so owes me this amount of money, I'm like, okay, well, legally this is it, but energetically, is that going to be worth your time going after it? So I am very much woo woo, like all the woo here. Like I've done plant medicine, so I'm very curious about these executives at Google. Do you see that a lot of them are woo as well? Or are some of them just like straight lace, like hardcore, like no emotion, just at it? I'm just so curious about this.
I would say they are very data driven, but they are not emotionless. So I can distinctly remember there were these executive women sitting in a circle, and they were going around introducing themselves and, you know, kind of what brought them to this point of being able to invest a few days in their well-being. But the way that we had to position it at Google was, it was called sustaining high performance for women, because a lot of people think that you are either focused on your success or you're focused on your well-being or your mental health. And it has to be one or the other. And if you focus on one, the other one falls down. But what the science is actually saying is that if you are taking a moment to pause, if you are focusing on your happiness, you actually end up more successful. And so it was a matter of showing that research to be able to get their buy-in. But back to the story of this circle, I remember this one woman introducing herself, and she said, I've been at Google for 13 years, and I keep telling my family, after this project, we'll be able to slow down. Oh, just after this month, as soon as this fire is put out, then we'll be able to do that vacation. After this, mommy won't be working every night. And I remember her sitting there and crying. And that was one of the straws on the camel's back for me. That was like, I don't want to be that person. I clearly see that these people making double, triple my salary are having the same exact thoughts, the same exact problems, the same exact challenges that I'm having. And the money might make some things easier, but it's not solving it. Yeah. So yes, they are research and data driven. We didn't do as much woo in the workshops with them, but sometimes it was just about how you framed it. So when we talk about like getting into the flow of doing things in that moment where you lose track of time and you're getting things done, you're super productive. And there is research and science that goes into that, but there's also research and science on the woo side as well, but you just don't talk about it that way. It's just reframing. But if you look at like manifesting, if you say manifesting, people will sometimes freak out. But if you say we're setting a goal and we're looking at the steps to get there, and I want you to visualize that goal. I want you to imagine putting that basketball in the basket. I want you to imagine getting up on that stage. What is a dress rehearsal? What is it when you're planning to do a TED Talk? You are rehearsing it. You are imagining in your mind what it's going to look like. You're setting the goal of that. That's manifesting. Yeah. So a lot of it is just reframing.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that. I will brag on myself. I am proud of myself for learning how to reframe a lot of it for my clients, because I know like who's woo, who's not, who needs it to be worded this way, who needs it to be worded that way. And I think that's a skill. Like I think it really is a skill that people have, is being able to recognize who your audience is, who you're talking to, and realizing, hey, what language can I use here? But I agree that I think it's all the same. It's just a matter of how are you looking at it. But I would love if you could talk about your time in the Legalpreneur membership a little bit, how we have helped you. This is something that I steer away. Like I'm shy to ask people like, hey, how has this helped you? Like, has it, like, I tell you, like, brag on yourself, but I'm shy to ask people like, hey, can you brag on us for a minute? So if you could allude to your time with Legalpreneur, I would love that.
I mean, first off, what a freaking flex is it for me to be like, oh, I sent this to my attorney. I'm going to have my attorney review this. Like that alone is so great. When somebody sends me a contract and they're like, will you speak to our team? And, you know, here's our contract. I'm like, oh, I need my attorney to review this. Like, first off, just love that. But yes, I've been a Legalpreneur member for, I want to say it's going on 2 years now.
I was going to say, yeah, 2
Yeah.
years.
And you have helped me with getting a trademark on my business name, on my actual name. You have helped me get an Instagram account because for some reason, Tentacles and Tea was taken on Instagram. Wild. You've helped me with reviewing contracts, as I just said. You've helped me review my own contract that I'm putting together for this retreat. You've helped me with putting together a contract for my corporate clients. So, I'm a one-person team. What happens if I get sick and I can't run this workshop? I need to have a contract. So you helped me with all of those things, trademarking, copyright conversations, and then again, just the flex of saying my attorney is so great.
Yeah. That's like the number one thing that I love to advertise is telling people like you can actually mean it when you say, let me run it by my attorney first. Or because so many people, especially small business owners and those in the online space, they'll be like, oh, well, if I don't get this payment, I'm going to get my attorney involved. And when like my clients come to me and say that somebody told them that, I'm like, just CC me and tell them like, here's my attorney. Go ahead, like reach out to them.
Yeah.
And then they never hear from them again. And it's great.
Yeah. But no, it's been so helpful. And I've recommended you to many people, even the people who are looking at doing the trademark stuff. I know you have a course on doing it yourself. I, as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, have so much stuff on my plate. This is not something I want to learn, need to learn. And props to everybody who does it on their own. I would rather just say like, hey, can you do the search? Can you figure this out for me? Because I know it'll be done right and well.
Yeah. And that's our goal, is to just be the one-stop shop. Like if you want to DIY, if you want to work one-on-one with an attorney, like no matter what, like we got you covered.
Yes.
And I'm actually working on, I don't know if you ever did anything with the Google for Startups program, but I'm actually about to submit my application for the Google for Startups Latino sector. So crossing my fingers with that one.
Yay.
I've said this over and over, but I truly am on a mission to just not only help the small business owners and startups with the legal side, but also the attorneys, because what I've realized, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize this, but women and underrepresented minorities, that's the majority of small businesses, because we get the shaft in the corporate world. And so it's like, F this, I'm just going to go do it on my own. And so being able to serve those communities is an honor, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. And I'm so grateful that you have stayed with Legalpreneur as long as you have. And I'm so excited that you finally get to have your retreat a little over 3 years later, but that's okay.
Yes.
Better late than never. And it's all divine timing, But Nicole, if you can tell everybody where to find out more about you, where to get more information about the retreat if they are interested.
Yeah. So my website is just my name. It's Nicole. And my last name is Bensen, and it's Bensen. So NicoleBensen.com. You can find out all the information about me there. NicoleBensen.com/Switzerland is where you can see the retreat information. As mentioned, you helped me get Tentacles and Tea on Instagram. So I am Tentacles and Tea on Instagram. My email is Nicole@tentaclesandtea.com. And yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm so glad this has come full circle, because I first heard you on a podcast years ago and was like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I need Andrea.
Yes, I love it. Do you remember what podcast?
It was I Heart My Life, Emily Williams.
Oh, I love Emily. And she just had her baby.
She
oh my
did.
Gosh.
Yes, they had I was in her mastermind.
Yes,
and they asked,
that's right.
They asked, who would you like to have come chat at our thing? And I was like, please get Andrea to come.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
So yeah, I was like, oh, you know your stuff.
I need
Andrea in my life.
I love it. Well, Nicole, thank you so much. And for those listening, we'll put everything in the show notes. You can just click there. And I think I'm definitely going to be there in October. So if you want to come meet us, get in and be one of those first 5.
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. We're all going to hang out in this rooftop pool overlooking Lake Lucerne and eating chocolate and cheese and reading letters. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, I can already feel the tears. All right, we'll see you next time. Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.